The legal cannabis industry has unlocked generational wealth opportunities across the country. But the industry's regulatory complexities, constant state of change, and speed of evolution drive confusion for entrepreneurs and investors alike. On this podcast, we'll interview the industry leaders who are shaping the future of the legal cannabis industry to help our listeners understand these idiosyncrasies. This is Cannabis Unlocked, hosted by Key Investment Partners. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the latest episode of Cannabis Unlocked. I'm your host, Jordan Youkilis with Key Investment Partners, and today I'm excited to be joined by David Miller and Erich Maelzer of Flow Gardens. David, Erich, how are you guys doing today?
Doing good, man.
Good, Jordan. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for joining. And so maybe just to kick things off, would be great if the two of you would give a little bit of background on your personal histories and how you decided to get into the cannabis industry.
Sure. You want me to start? All right. So I've been growing cannabis now right around 30 years. Started back when I was a kid. Got caught growing underneath my parents' crawl space and never quit. So I had a passion for the plant from the very beginning, and I just love learning new ways to grow the plant and the best way to cultivate it to get the highest quality plant out there. So that's pretty much my experience with it. And then I got into the hemp CBD industry because, as you know, Tennessee, we're still in a legal state. So this was the one way to get into it legally for me. And the genetics were finally there in CBD. And so that's kind of how it all started. So that's kind of
great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, Jordan, thanks for having us on. A little bit different of a path. I also started growing when I was young. Except it was in my room. I didn't get caught. I flipped it probably wasn't as good as Erich's, but I flipped a lava lamp over upside down and pulled my dresser out and put it behind a Grateful Dead poster. So my mom probably to this day knows that I was growing. She didn't say anything, but who knows? But yeah, so I owned financial services and accounting business for about 15 years, but was in the industry for 20 years. And towards the tail end of it, I was really kind of burnt out and trying to figure out my next path in life. So I sold my company and decided my passion was in cannabis. I had a lot of things happen in my family and friends that have a lot of conviction around it. So I joined up with Erich, and so he had started Flow Gardens about a year before. I joined up, and so now we're rocking and rolling today.
Fantastic. Well, that's great, guys. So yeah, would love to learn a little bit more about Flow Gardens and how you guys got started, how long you've been in the business.
Yeah, so we started Flow Gardens 2 years ago last month. Prior to that, I had another indoor hemp facility out in Knoxville that I parted ways with. And so I teamed up with Horticultural Lighting Group, HLG, who they manufacture LED grow lights. And they're right up here in Maynardville where the facility is. So we partnered as kind of an R&D project on their lights and also on the different grow methods that I use. And so 2 years later, here we are. We've created a brand now, which is getting nationwide recognition. We just won a Cannabis Cup 3 weeks ago, and then another one 2 weeks ago. So we're starting to make a name for ourselves.
Have about 5,000 customers.
Yeah.
Most of our distribution is online. We have some wholesale clients, good bit there too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's great. And maybe for the listeners' benefit, you could talk a little bit about some of the distinctions between the hemp and the cannabis markets. You obviously mentioned that Tennessee's not yet legal on the cannabis side. And so how have you been able to carve out a niche in the market for the hemp products?
So our niche is indoor flower, smokable flower. It's been 4 years now since I started that venture, and I was probably one of the first in the country doing it. And so that's kind of our niche. It's high CBD. We also have CBG strains. We just came out or found a CBC strain in a pheno hunt. So for us, it's more of genotyping instead of phenotyping, where we're looking for the different cannabinoids that are legal outside of Delta 9. And there's people out there that prefer that. They also prefer mixing their THC with their CBD. So that's the biggest difference between us and the marijuana industry is we test everything we grow. We have to, number one, but it's turning out that it's a learning experience, about the plant itself and all the different compounds in it.
Yep. And could you talk a bit more about the difference between genotyping and phenotyping?
Yeah. So phenotyping is when you plant all the seeds and you're looking at the structure of the plant, the way it smells, the way the effects are. And genotyping, you're actually testing what's inside of the plant and the different cannabinoids and terpenes So that's the difference. That's the main difference.
Great. And so with the passage of the Farm Bill a few years ago, that legalized the sale of hemp and hemp-derived CBD across the country. So how has that impacted your business, and what have been the opportunities and challenges presented by that legislation?
Well, it opened up the doors in 2018 and made it really, really nice. We were able to grow high THCA because it was a Delta 9 law. It was kind of a loophole, so to speak. So for a little while there, we were taking off going down that road. But then as of this year, the USDA law is 0.3% total Delta 9. So we've kind of had to focus more on the CBD side and then these new cannabinoids. So it's been a roller coaster, for lack of better words, this industry in general, but the hemp world as well.
Yeah.
And
have you found that the consumers have been able to really tell a difference between CBD heavy products versus other products that are higher in other rare cannabinoids?
Yeah, I think the big thing, at least from my perspective, is education in the marketplace. The numbers last year for 2021, the total CBD flower market, not oils or anything like that, but the total CBD smokable flower market was about $8 million, which isn't very large. And we own a very large portion of that market. It's supposed to grow by 5x this year to 40 million, which still isn't very big on a macro level. So it's a big part is having the consumer understand what are the benefits, even though they don't have psychoactive effects of CBD relative to or comparative to cannabis with THC in it. And you can actually pair the two well and they work nicely.
Yep. And you mentioned that most of your customers today come from your website or through online sources. So I'm curious, how are you able to get the word out there and find those customers?
So as of now, for the last 4 years, we built basically our whole business on Instagram, making our name on there. And then from there, it kind of spiraled into Reddit. We got a lot of Reddit followers who have helped us out. So as far as marketing, we really haven't put much into it other than that. We have a little bit on Facebook, but it's mostly word of mouth. Yeah, that's pretty much how we've done it so far.
Yeah, our focus, Jordan, as you know and research just a little bit, is super premium, high quality flower. So I mean, the price per pound that we're getting is higher than a lot of the marijuana markets in the recreational states where it's legalized. So, and that is a super niche market, and you really have to, you have to understand CBD to if we're going to have repeat customers like that, because it's not cheap. It's what, $10 a gram, 150 an ounce.
Yeah, but I mean, we focus also on terpenes. So all the flower you're getting, I mean, it looks, smells better than a lot of the marijuana in these dispensaries, I bet too. So, I mean, that's the saying I always say, smell sells, and it seems to be the case in this too. Even though they're not getting high per se, they're still getting a lot of head change and a lot of good effects from the smoke. So.
Yeah, one of Erich's most recent strains, I think it was the Sour Lifter. It had about just under 5%. I think it's 4.98% terpenoline.
Yeah,
did I say that one right?
So, yeah, I think so. Terpenoline. Yeah.
Which a good one from my understanding, at percentage of an individual terpene is at like 2%, and this came in at 5%, which is just crazy.
Yeah. So,
Wow. And so with regards to that price point, did you find any price compression after, a lot of new supply came on following the passage of the Farm Bill, right? I mean, we saw particularly, I think in 2020 and 2021, that there was pretty significant price compression across the hemp industry.
yeah, we have felt a little bit of that, but it's more so, yeah, people coming online, seeing what we're doing, trying to get on that same bandwagon with us. And so we've had to come down a little bit, but not much. We've stayed steady with our pricing for the last 3 to 4 years. So,
That's great.
but as we're getting bigger, we're able to kind of give the price break as well because we're harvesting so much right now weekly.
Right. And so, one of the trends that we've seen with states that have legal cannabis is that a lot of growers are focused on getting as much THC potency as possible, right? Just really refining the product to make it get folks very, very high. And so I'm curious, has that been a difficult barrier to get people comfortable with products that, are more focused on CBD and other cannabinoids? And where do you see the market evolving as the consumers are more familiar with the various types of products and strains available to them, from the non-THC side to the super high potency products?
Yeah. As of now, from what I've seen in the industry is just what you said. Everybody's, focusing on the highest THC. And I found out about 4 years ago. I was out in Denver, and me and Chad, who's behind me, we got some Cannatonic, and it was a 1-to-1. 1 part THC, 1 part CBD. And that morning we rolled a joint, smoked it, and then it's like a light bulb went off. It's like, this is amazing. I feel great. There's no anxiety. I can still function throughout my day. And then from there, that's what I've been working on since then, is 1-to-1s, 2-to-1s. And that, I believe that is definitely going to be the future of the market. There's no doubt about it, because the people that are following and buy our products now are just raving fans because they've seen the light, so to speak. So have you tried any by chance? Any kind of 1-to-1s or?
I haven't, not at least smokable. I have some edibles.
Okay. So yeah, I guess that would be sort of the same.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that CBD works together with the THC and takes away all that anxiety, that paranoia, all the effects you really don't want when you're ingesting cannabis.
Yep. And could you talk a little bit more about that, and maybe like the entourage effect, and how, that full spectrum can really help provide some additional benefits?
Of course, yeah. From my experience, yeah, that's just what I was saying. The CBD takes away your anxieties, your paranoias from pretty much all the things you don't want from a high, and it makes it more of a, like a level-headed type thing. Makes sense.
Great.
Yeah, just Jordan, to piggyback on what Erich said, per your question, is the purpose of our firm is to cultivate health and happiness through high quality cannabis. And whenever I was out in California with my family on vacation a couple months ago, I went out and I'll call it R&D, but essentially went to a bunch of dispensaries and looked at what they had. And there was a really progressive one. I remember I was in Santa Barbara. I don't remember the name of the dispensary, but they also own products and distributed their own products, called Glass House. And I remember walking in there, and there were probably 50 to 75 different cannabis strains to choose from. And there was either 1 or 2. There were 2. There was one that was CBD only, and there was one that was a 1-to-1. So out of a very progressive dispensary, out of their 70 strains, they only had 1 or 2 that had CBD in it. So we really feel like there's a huge opportunity in the marketplace, one, to promote health, not just say, hey, this is what gets you high. Yes, the psychoactive effects are nice. They do have medicinal benefits, but we're missing the boat here if we're just ignoring all these other cannabinoids, CBC, CBN, CBG, all of them, and how they work together. That's not even thinking about what happens when you add these terpenes with them, right? Which gives you that effect as well. So
Yep. Yep. And how about with regards to the Tennessee legislative market or legislative landscape? Do you think that there's a potential for either medical or rec legalization anytime in the near future? And if so, will you plan to also start selling products with THC as well?
Yeah, I mean, we're a big believer in THC. It's just it's not legal right now. There are medicinal benefits with it. Eric's I think he started on that. So
Yeah. We're hoping they become legal sometime soon. We're helping as much as we can, lobbying and everything, but it's one of those things. I'm almost giving up on it at this point. I'm sick of getting my hopes up, and then the last minute they knock it down for the year. So
yeah,
we're just focusing on what we can do legally here. Cross our fingers that we get it soon.
yeah, to provide some more color around that, Jordan, I actually went up to the General Assembly that just closed, I think, last week in Tennessee, and I talked to dozens of senators, state senators, and state congressmen, and there were, of everyone I talked to, there was maybe one or two that would outright say they weren't for it. Most people are for not. No, most of them aren't for recreational, but most of them are for medicinal in some form or fashion. So it's really just education. And I think the big hurdle is descheduling it federally, so it's not, a Schedule 1 or Class 1 substance, whatever the right wording is.
Mm-hmm.
So
you
I think we'll probably be one of the latter states, though.
Yeah, and I was just going to ask, do you think it'll require, or rather, do you think that federal legalization will have to precede any Tennessee state legislation?
It's hard to say. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a chance that's the case, though, at this point, unless we get some new people in there that think a little differently.
Right.
So,
No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I saw that you guys are also doing subscription sales. I'm curious, has that been a product SKU that has taken hold? And do you think that's something that will become more common throughout the industry going forward?
Yeah. So it's been, I guess it's been right over a month since we started it. We're up to around 130 subscribers. So far it's been really good for us. We didn't expect to, get that many so fast, but so far it's been good. It's going to be tricky though, trying to keep up with the pheno hunt, because that's what they're getting is all the different small batch pheno hunts that we're going through, and making sure I've got to stay a month ahead of what they're going to get, so everybody gets close to the same thing. And but yeah, the logistics are a little crazy, but it's working out pretty good for us so far.
Yeah. And we've heard that hemp cigarettes can be a great alternative for folks who are looking to quit tobacco. And so I'm curious, have you found any consumers using it for that purpose, or have you tried specifically to market products for folks looking to wean off cigarettes?
Yeah, my other business, we definitely had some hemp cigarettes. I had a 10-pack, and those things sold pretty well, and honestly, that's funny you mentioned that, because I was thinking about reintroducing them last week. I had that thought, because right now we use all our trimmings. We just send it off to the processor to make us rosin or whatever, but I could use those for hemp cigarettes. I think that's a great cigarette alternative for sure. Like back when I was R&D in them, I was trying them, and having that filter on the end of them really replicates a cigarette. It's kind of weird. You don't get that burn like a cigarette, but it almost makes you feel like you're smoking a cigarette. So.
That's great. And so if our listeners are interested in learning more about your products or trying them, what's the best place for them to go look and find you guys?
You just go to our website, which is flowgardens.com, and you can find us on Instagram. It's at flowgardens420.
Great. And are you looking to do any hiring or anything in the near term?
We are a fast growing startup, so we're always looking for quality talent.
100%. Yeah. Definitely.
Awesome. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for hopping on the podcast today. Really exciting to hear about what you guys are doing at Flow Gardens, and best of luck as you continue to scale across the industry.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us, Jordan. Yeah,
Yeah,
appreciate you.
absolutely, gentlemen. Have a great afternoon.
All right, you
Do the
too.
same.
Take care.